Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Through the Looking Glass, a novel by Lewis Carroll. Through the Looking Glass is a sequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Here we find Alice, who's a 7.5-year-old child, and she's playing with the kittens in her living room on a wintry day. And she asks Kitty, that is the black kitten, to play pretend. And she's telling Kitty her ideas about the house on the other side of the looking glass over the fireplace. That is, near the fireplace there is a looking glass, and she is telling, see, behind this glass there is a house, and how that house will look and all that she's explaining. And as she sings, she notices the looking glass appearing misty. And when she goes near it, she is able to step into the looking glass and she enters a new world. And everything in this new world is just the same as her own house. And she also notices that chess pieces are there on that place, but the pieces are real, that is, they are all having life. The red queen and the white queen in the chessboard are crying for their child atop the table. And they cannot see or hear Alice, so she picks them up, but they get scared. And then she reunites a family, and now the red queen is joined with her child and the white queen is joined with her child. And Alice looks around and she feels that the room is very similar but backward. That is, it is like a reflection of a normal house, that is her house. And then she walks outside the house to find a vast forested landscape. And this forest is separated in sections. It's like squares, how the chessboard will be in the same way, with shrubs and rivers and all that. There are multiple squares. And she realizes that this world, which is at the other side of the looking mirror, is like a chessboard. Now she goes there and she finds all the flowers in the garden with life, but she does not know how to cross that path and come back to the house. But anyway, she walks there, and quickly she finds herself as though she is crossing through the theory of the looking glass land. And she sees all the flowers all speaking, and the tiger lily tree protects the flowers with its bow and it barks at her and even thrashes. And Alice is amazed at the fantastical flowers, but all the flowers look at her and say that she is an ugly flower, and they say she is ugly because they refer her to a pointy petals, that is the crown. And Alice does not know what to do. At that time the red queen comes there, and Alice goes and joins her. And the red queen is very kind, and it instructs her and teaches her how to get through this giant chessboard forest. And she tells all the characters she'll be meeting on the way and how she has to move from one square to another. And in the 8th square, Alice will be crowned queen, but for now she is only a pawn. Now, after teaching all this, the red queen rushes away and Alice follows her advice. And at that time she finds a train, but she does not know how to buy the ticket. But the conductor yells at her, and thinking that she is a luggage, he allows her to ride there. And the train is also filled with all strange creatures. There is a talking horse, a beetle, a gnat, and this gnat keeps on whispering her in the ears. And the train jumps over a large stream to go to another square. And now the setting fully changes, and Alice finds herself sitting under a oak tree with a giant gnat. And they talk about all the insects, and all the insects in the looking glass world are different. There is a rocking horse fly which is made of wood, and it eats the sap and sawdust rather than an ordinary horse fly. And Alice then walks through the forest to where the gnat says language is forgotten. And Alice realizes that she could not remember the word tree, she cannot remember her own name. And then she travels, but that time a sweet fawn comes and shows her the way out, and now they both get back their vocabulary. And in the next square, Alice meets Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They are twin boys, and they are very competitive. And they start bantering with wordplay and linguistic humor. And they also recite a poem called The Walrus and the Carpenter to her, but she cannot understand it. And the Tweedles then put on pillows and other items to fight while Alice becomes the referee. But their fight is stopped by a giant crow that sweeps down, fluttering a scarf in the breeze. Alice grabs the scarf and comes across the white queen in the woods. She returns the scarf to the white queen and tidies her up. And this white queen is totally disabled and tells her strange things. Like she says that her memory is backward. That is, she can tell what will happen next week, but she will not remember what happened yesterday, and Alice says that is impossible. But the queen says that she should practice imagining harder for all this, and then at that time the woods turns into a shop, and the queen becomes a woolly sheep and she is the owner of the shop. And then the shop becomes a rowboat and it is floating in a river, and Alice rows the shop along and she sees beautiful rushes in the water. So she picks all those rushes, but all these rushes vanish as she is gathering them. Now the rowboat turns back again into a shop and Alice buys an egg. This egg keeps on moving out of her grasp. She is not able to hold it, and the egg changes into Humpty Dumpty sitting on a tree branch. And now this is Humpty Square, and Alice talks with him, and he only tells her about all the riddles, and she asks him how he is balancing on a narrow ledge. But he thinks the question is ridiculous, and since he is a poetry expert, he helps Alice disappear the Jabberwocky, a poem she knows by heart. And Humpty describes the nonsensical language in the poem. Now Alice continues through the looking glass world, square by square, and she sees many strange things and interesting characters at every turn. And she helps the White King find the fighting lion and the unicorn, who are fighting with each other daily to win his crown. And the unicorn and the lion look at her and they think that she is a monster, and they cannot believe that she is real. And she also feels that the unicorn is not real. So both the unicorn and Alice agree to believe in each other. Then she enters the White Knight square, and he joes with the Red Knight to save her, and then he accompanies her through the forest for his move in the game. The White Knight is an inventor, and he talks about his creation like the weird pudding and the helmets. And after saying goodbye to the chivalrous knight, she reaches the final square, and in that final square she finds a golden crown. Now the Red Queen and the White Queen come there and they ask her random questions, and this is to examine her before she can become a queen. And Alice finds that it is very difficult to answer their riddles correctly, but then the world transforms into a feast and all the characters and creatures drink to Queen Alice. That is, she has become a queen. But the food is all living and therefore she will not be able to eat it, and this frustrates her. And the guests all turn into utensils and the queens all squeeze her, and the Red Queen gets smaller and smaller and smaller and becomes a chess piece again, and Alice shakes her until she becomes Kitty, that is a black kitten. Now Alice gets up from the dream and she is sure that Kitty only became the Red Queen, and the white kitten known as Snowdrop was the White Queen, and the Humpty Dumpty was Dinah the mother cat. And here ends the novel. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.